What's up, guys? Rad-I-Nation here. So I'm going to talk to you today about the FocusBot 3Z. Not necessarily a review about it, but what I did to it to make it a little bit cooler. As you may be able to see, it's not that well hazed up in here yet, but there's a little beam coming out of this light. There's not a stock Gobo in there that makes that. So what I did is just bought a Rosco, the Rosco Gobo. It's an R663 or R663. It's about 14 bucks versus buying like a Pentapix where by American DJ, they're about 300 bucks. 5 lights on a little bar, just beams of light, they don't move. The other option is the Q4s by American DJ. As you know, I hate those. If you haven't watched my review on why, watch it. The other option, if you're going to go a Q4 route, is getting 4 of them on a bar, which that'll run you about 800 bucks. I couldn't find a current price on it, but the closest thing I found was the Elation version of it, which the beams are only in white, and that's running about 300 to 500 bucks. Then your next option is like a big beam light. I know American DJ makes the Focus Beam, which has just been released. It's kind of like the brother unit of this now. Very powerful light, by the way. Then you can get into like a multiple beam effects, which this can do with your prism, which I'll show you in a little bit. There's the other option of getting the Chauvet Rogue One FXB, I think it is. And that's running about 15 to 16, up to about 17 with a case. I may be wrong on that one, but those were kind of my options I was looking at. And however, my bank account and my fiance both said no to getting those, so had to resort to the $14 option. Alright, now Rosco makes 2 different types, or I shouldn't say 2 different. They make 2 main different types of the pin spot Gobos. They make one where the pin spot is dead centered, they make one where the pin spot is offset. I have the offset one. Let's talk about the pros and cons about it being offset. Biggest thing, as some of y'all might have figured out already, it's offset. So your light source is here, your pinhole's here. You're losing 100 watts, or not 800 watts, but you're losing the big punch of your light. Now when there's haze in the air and everything, and you got, it is set on white, a really bright color, it really will punch through and all. But it could be, I'm losing, I would say, about 50% of its punch. Not necessarily the intensity, but the punch of the light itself with the offset Gobo. But the good thing is I can do a makeshift animation wheel, or whatever you want to call it, motion wheel, whatever. It's not all that cool, but basically I can take the first Gobo wheel that's static, throw it on there, throw the beam over it, and when I rotate the Gobo, now because it's an offset, you will actually kind of see the beam kind of do in a way a shake, Gobo shake. But when you throw that other Gobo over it, you kind of can get like an animation wheel. As I like to call it, the poor man's animation wheel. There's not a whole lot of times I use that effect. It's just kind of something, as a wow factor. So now the pros about the pin spot being in the center. You get more of a punchier light. It's not offset, so you don't have to worry about. Let me go back to this other con real quick. Another con about it being offset is you cannot take the Gobo out without having to reprogram everything. Because it is offset, not every Gobo wheel, as you may know, is at the same spot. Surprise! So now I have one that's here, one here, one here, one here. And when I shoot my beams out straight, as you will see later, my beams look all funky, wonky, kind of like, you know, like I got a lazy eye or whatever. That's the one issue. That's another issue about it, I should say. But once you go in and go ahead and do your Gobo index, make everything nice and straight, it looks good. Sometimes. When you do long throws, indexing it by one value or so can make the biggest difference. And I've caught myself where I'm not able to get them all just perfectly straight. I may have to have these two slightly off and these two slightly off so they kind of mirror each other. You know, most of the time it's not an exact science. The heads are moving, so you really can't tell. But there's a few songs where they're actually stationary in a position, and they're turning on and off. Or I shouldn't say turning on and off. They're, you know, the shutters and dimmers are chasing and stuff. And that's not the issue, but the issue is when they all turn on, and then poof, you got all these beams misaligned. One tip. So let's jump back to the con about the center pin spot. It's not really a con. It's just your preference, not being able to rotate it. It would make easier for maintenance. Just pop the Gobo wheel out and whatever. Boom. There you go. All right. Since we're talking about the Gobos and replacing them and everything, and the general maintenance of them. These are the Gobos that I took out of the light itself. They're the little football looking eye thingy. I don't use those Gobos. I hate them. I hated them since day one. Again, that's just me. I freaking hated them. So I took those out. That was my choice of Gobo to take out. Yours might be something different. And as you can see, now let me rudely grab those Gobos. As you can see on there, from factory they have one side painted black. See, one side's black, one side's silver, or just the bare metal. This took a little experimenting with and trying to figure out why I'm having weird stuff happening. I was having a little ghosting happening with my beam. And come to find out, the side facing the LED light source was not painted black like all the other Gobos, and it was basically reflecting back into the unit and shining it and basically firing again. And I actually just told you that wrong. It's the other way around. It's the side facing the lens. Just disregard that. The side facing the lens is what you want to make sure that's painted black. The reason being is because the light's going to bounce off the lens, bounce back off the Gobo, and you want that light to die. You don't want it to protrude out anymore. So on top of having to do it with this Gobo, I actually had to do it with all my other monogram Gobos that I use for weddings. So that's a quick little tip on any Gobos actually. Alright guys, so sorry about the ugliness that you see here. Trying to make my videos look a little bit more professional with an all white background here. And I figured this would be kind of pretty good to shoot these spots onto. Alright, so as you can see, this here is the spot itself. This is full open. Intensity at 100% or 255, whatever you want to look at. Everything will be ran with full intensity so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Alright, so this is the spot. It's focused, you know, nice and crisp. And then here is the beam. Now it's going really quickly between the two because I'm actually changing between two different lights so you can actually see some differences. That's the beam focused, or as good as focused as I can get right now. My computer's being a little funky because I just updated it and I can't, there's a few bugs to work out. So this is the beam, again, full intensity, and this is 0% zoom. Now we'll go ahead and you can see the difference. That's fully zoomed and focused. Here is a difference between the two sizes. Maybe a little bit hard to tell on camera. Alright guys, here it is, the two different beams. So as you can see, here's fully zoomed in. That's 7 inches versus about 10 inches. And right now we are standing about, well, I should say that curtain is about 20 feet. So however you figure out your photometrics and all that other jazz, I couldn't tell you, but that's the specs that I've got for you right now. Alright, now we're going to get into the rotations and cool stuff like that. So here's what it looks like when the beam's rotated. Being rotated, I should say. Again, this is Gobo rotation. Alright. Now we throw the prism over it, and you get that. Let's go ahead and rotate that prism. I get a nice cool little effect like so. Then we got a linear prism. Kind of cool-ish. Alright. Excuse me there. Alright, and then we just rotate the prism. Rotating the prism and rotating the Gobo on this one doesn't look all that great. That's just my opinion. Now here is my homemade animation wheel. This is kind of the selling point for me, or for everybody. I'll post a picture up on the top right corner so you can see what Gobo is behind it. These are just the stock Gobos. Again, Gobo Wheel 1 you cannot change, so that's how I'm able to do this. So I'm just kind of stuck with what I got. So there's Gobo 1, Gobo 2. It's kind of cool. I wish the beams would line up a little bit more right over the circles. That way it would look like a revolver spinning or something. This one is Gobo 3, Gobo 4, Gobo 5, Gobo 6, and Gobo 7, which is going to be deleted here shortly. We'll get to that later. Alright, then all these, just so you can compare them all, these are with the Gobo shake. All the shakes are set to the lowest value. So for example, this Gobo shake is 64. 63 would be max, would be the last value of the previous Gobo. This is a slow shake, and then we'll speed things up so you can see you can kind of get pretty crazy here if you really wanted to. Alright, Gobo 2 with the shake, 3 with the shake, 4 with the shake, 5 with the shake, 6 with the shake, 7 with the shake. Alright, I'm going to flip this camera around so you can see the aerial effect itself. Alright, so here are our beam differences. This far one right here is at 0% zoom. This is max zoom. The only difference you can really tell the only difference that you can really tell is it may be hard to demonstrate on camera. Let's see if I can get it. Maybe. We can see this is a fat beam coming out that goes to a narrow beam. But this is a narrow beam comes out, and they're different sizes. Honestly, in the air, the one that is not zoomed actually looks better to me. That's just my honest opinion. Let's get this back up here. Alrighty. So here's what the rotation looks like. rotation with the circular prism, rotating that prism, kind of a cool trippy little effect there. The linear prism, and now rotating that linear prism. Alright, my animation type wheel with Gobo 1, Gobo 2, Gobo 3, Gobo 4, Gobo 5, Gobo 6, Gobo 7, that piece of shit. Oh, let me slow things down there. Well, that's the fast Gobo shake on Gobo wheel 1. Alright, here's the slow shake. Gobo wheel 1. Gobo shake on wheel 2. Or sorry, wheel Gobo 2. Shake on 3. Shake on 4. Shake on 5. Shake 6. And the piece of shit shake 7. Honestly, this is the one that I use the most when I actually do my aerial effects. It's with Gobo wheel 6. It's kind of like the tire pattern looking thing. I just like it because when you're looking at it, it just looks like the beam's bouncing up and down. And then you got all this nice little aerial effect. When you actually look at it, it's rotating. So, or not rotating, but animating, or whatever the fudge you want to call it. Probably my second favorite would be this one here, this little alien, or not that one, sorry, the flower, because there's always going to be beams on there. It's just kind of cool. Definitely if someone is like head on looking at that beam, using it as a blinder or something, it's kind of a cool little effect. And this one's kind of cool. It kind of looks like, to me, like lenses are popping in and out. This one is kind of cool. It looks like, I call it my raindrop. So I'm gonna give you a little tip here. I don't zoom in my beam at all for this. I keep it all the way open, because when you zoom it in, it gets really difficult to start focusing it just perfect. Like honestly, if I have this just like this and I'm in an open room, it's probably going to look like crap. That's why I'll throw these on the floor or something. That way I know they'll be at a nice focus. Or if I know I'm going to do an aerial effect, I could give two shits less of what that looks like, and I'll just go what everyone would be seeing. So here is like the sweet spot of this Gobo right here. It's pretty fucking cool. I just really like that. And then you put colors over it. Man, it just looks awesome. So, let's go back to... So it may be a little hard to see, but this is the one issue I was talking about with the Gobo and the darn offset, because as you can see, if they're not done just right, the beams are going to be a bit off, as you can see. All my heads right now are in the 50-50 position. That's where start programming, and it's also kind of like my start and stop for every song. Usually our drummer will sit right under the lights there, like so. So this is actually would look like this. Go back full. All right. So here's some. Now here's putting that 6-facet prism on them, as you can see. Kind of gives it that cool look. Let's go ahead and rotate that. So now we're just rotating the prism. Turn that off. And now we'll rotate the gobo. If you can, let me turn this back to, turn this off. I'm just rotating the gobo, and you can kind of see it's kind of in a way like a gobo shake, if you want to say. It's a little bit of different effect. That's on the linear. Go back to the circular. You can see it a little bit better. I really like this effect when I'm using color split. Color split is on, but this one, I can't even point to it so you can't see it. So if you're looking on the right side being 1, the second one looks like it's on green, but it's not. If you actually kind of look on the ground, you can kind of see a little bit of blue in it. But here's where that kind of comes in and does a little bit of funkiness. I start putting my gobo rotation on, and it kind of acts like a shake, and then it like all of a sudden moves the colors. But I'm not moving the color wheel at all. It's just the gobo itself rotating. And then we can go extra funkiness and do other rotations and stuff. So there's where the color splitting can kind of be kind of fun to play with. Let me get to another example right quick. There we go. Let's turn all these on. And these are color split with the pink and the white. So you can kind of see again unit number 2. This one here. As you can see, there's some nice little beams of white coming through. And I just have it on a prism rotate. Now once again, let's go ahead and rotate that gobo. Now you start getting kind of cool funky stuff like that happening. It looks like a color chase, but it's really not. Again, it's just them moving. As you can see, it kind of gives it a nice cool little effect. Alright, so here's just beams once again. Color split, it's gonna be kind of random. Just depends. Like I said, you turn that gobo rotation on, and then all of a sudden you kind of get like a color chase, if you want to say, without actually having to move your color wheel. Man, that's just a pretty sight. You know, for a $13 gobo, you can do kind of quite a bit of cool stuff with it. Alright, so now you've seen what everything looks like. That's just running 4 ADJ FS3Zs with the same gobo. Okay, seriously, does anyone ever use this damn gobo? Like, I never use it. There may be one song I could think to use it for, and it's called Basketball Jones, or maybe the song Put Me in Coach. Never play those songs though. So, to get rid of this ugly ass thing, wow, there's a spider in my light. There's a spider hanging in my light. That's kind of crazy. Oh well. As far as I know, no one ever uses this gobo. So, I think I'm going to cut it out with my Dremel. If you don't know by now, these units don't have a color temperature in it. So I ordered me some Cto filters from Lee. I ordered quarter, half, and 3/4 Cto filters. I'm going to put them in here, see if I can get a nice warm light out of it. And we'll do some cool videos and some cool funky stuff with that. I'm sorry, that's just ugly. I gotta turn that off. Alright guys, till next time, Rad-I-Nation signing off. Like and subscribe.